Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, it was in junior high school that I for the first time learned about Mahatma Gandhi. Our history teacher was very fascinated by the great Mahatma, and being a very good teacher and a political activist as well, he succeeded in telling a very vivid life story of Gandhi and his work. I especially remember a Gandhi saying that he repeated again and again for us: "You must be the change you want to see in the world." Me? I asked. "Yes, you too," he said. What I didn't know then was that I was going to spend most of my working years at the Fridtjof Nansen Academy in Lillehammer, both as teacher and for many years as director. The academy was founded in 1938 by Christian Schjelderup and Anders Willer. The 1930s was a time when dark shadows were creeping across our continent. When Europe had Hitler, Mussolini, Franco and Stalin, India had Gandhi. Schjelderup and Willer wanted to do something that could prevent totalitarian ideologies to take root also in Norway. And they strongly believed that ideas can change the world. Not ideas as pure theory, but as inspiration for action. The founders chose the name of Fridtjof Nansen for their school. And Nansen was the world-famous scientist, polar explorer, and humanitarian who was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1922. That same year, one of the founders, Christian Schjelderup, traveled to India. It took 4 weeks on a steamship. Even though he was a Christian theologian, he was also attracted to Buddhism and Hinduism, and he had read about Mahatma Gandhi. His work had made him curious, and he hoped to meet him. But when Schjelderup arrived in India, Gandhi had been sentenced to 6 years in prison, and no one besides his wife was allowed to visit him. Schjelderup went up to Pune and had a photograph of the building where Gandhi was imprisoned. That was the closest Christian Schjelderup came to his great hero in life. When he returned to Norway, he wrote a book called Where Men Become Gods. And in that book, 1923, he wrote a full chapter, 30 pages, about Gandhi and his work. There he introduced concepts like ahimsa, satyagraha, swadeshi, brahmacharya. And Schjelderup was the first one to introduce Gandhi at some length to the Norwegian people. Never since the day of Jesus has one man taught us so much about what love really means, Schjelderup wrote in his book. And he became a dedicated supporter of ahimsa all his life. Also during the Second World War, when he spent 16 months in one of the Nazi prisons in Norway. What has Gandhi's life and message meant to me? First of all, even though I've been working with Gandhi and his work for more than half a century, I don't pretend to understand him. His cultural, religious, and historical background is very different from mine. But in spite of all differences, I feel that we share some of the same human values. 3 areas of Gandhi's work have been especially important for me. First of all, peaceful conflict resolution and the beauty of compromise. No other man has taught us so much about peaceful conflict resolution as Gandhi. Both the peace research and the peace movements all over the world are in great debt to him. He showed us a moral standard and a way of acting in conflict that is as relevant today as it was when Gandhi lived. If the leaders of the world would act according to just 3 Gandhi statements, I think the planet would be a much safer place, both for us and our descendants. Gandhi said, 3/4 of the miseries and misunderstandings in the world will disappear if we step into the shoes of our adversaries and understand their standpoint. The means must be likened to a seed and the end to a tree. And there is just the same invisible connection between the means and the ends as there is between the seed and the tree. And an eye for an eye will make the whole world blind. The second area, which for me has been very important, is religious tolerance. When we at the Nansen Academy in 1991 started our first project with organized religious dialogue in Norway, Gandhi's ideas and experience was a great inspiration for us. Let me quote again. Adherents to different religions may sometimes feel that the differences among us cannot be overcome. We are separated like the ends of the spokes on a wheel. But the more each of us strives to get nearer along his own spoke to the central nave, God, the closer we will come our brothers and friends. It is easy enough to be friendly to one's friends, but to befriend the one who regards himself as your enemy is the quintessence of true religion. The other is mere business. Religion, which takes no account of practical affairs and does not help to solve them, is no religion, Gandhi said. The third area where Gandhi has been a lifelong inspiration is in the field of compassion and solidarity. He himself was brought up and belonged to the upper class. But when he learned about the misery of the poor, the unemployed, and the untouchable, he came to the conclusion that in order to be their spokesman, he had to share their conditions. Again I quote, "If I take anything that I do not need for my own immediate use and keep it, I steal it from somebody else." There is sufficiency in the world for man's need, but not for man's greed. An ounce of practice is worth 1,000 words. Mahatma Gandhi made me see the world in a new light, where love was the deepest force. His message was tested by experience. His life was his message. What I have done will endure, not what I have said and written. He was the most creative political leader that has ever lived. He was stubborn, but also humble. He warned against Gandhism and said that he didn't want to leave any sect after him, and he was very conscious of his own limitations. That is comforting for everybody of us, I think. That consciousness is my only strength, he said. Whatever I might have been able to do in my life has proceeded more than anything else out of the realization of my own limitation. It is like listening to Socrates, isn't it? There is no coincidence that his autobiography had the subtitle, "The Story of My Experiments with Truth." For Gandhi, truth was God, and he died in an honest search for truth. The big question now is, may Gandhi's teaching be applied in practical politics without Gandhi? For me, the answer is yes. And it has been practiced several times. We cannot copy Gandhi, but we can learn from him, both from his Himalayan blunders and miscalculations and from his achievements. Has any contemporary politician ever admitted making a mistake? Nehru's first words to the Indian people after the death of Mahatma Gandhi were, "The light has gone out of our lives." I think Nehru was wrong. As long as we, Gandhi's friends and followers all over the world, with peaceful means, are striving towards a better world, Gandhi's light will never be extinguished. But when are we going to take his message seriously and try to practice it? Thank you.